Well, hello there. And welcome to Medical Mondays with Q from Qulture and Nurse Cathleen from cannabisnurse.com. And this is our first time doing this on StreamYard. So fingers crossed that this goes very well. I'm going to also pull up everything on Facebook so I can see people's questions as they come in. But while I do that, how are you, Nurse Kathleen? Uh, Hello.
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Uh-oh.
Cool. Cool,
Did
cool.
I?
All right.
Sorry about that.
Oh
I
no,
am doing
all
wonderful. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
fantastic, fantastic. Okay, I see that we are actually on my live page as well. So cool. All right, let's get to it. So we are doing this a little bit late, so I apologize. I had things going on last weekend, and you as well, and so it didn't really work out for either one of us last week. But this week it's on and popping, as they like to say. So I have had a couple of people write me some questions as we always do once a month. And so, just in case people are joining us for the very first time, let you know what's going on. Every the first Monday of every month, Nurse Kathleen and I hop on social media and we tackle any of your medical questions or uh, adult use questions when it comes to using cannabis, CBD, plant-based medicine, all that jazz. And so, we want you to know that you always have a place to come for vetted professional medical advice when it comes to cannabis. The first Monday of every month at 6 o'clock, Nurse Kathleen and I will jump on the Culture webpage, my Antoinette Jameson Sarfo Facebook page, and now YouTube as well. So if you're checking us out from YouTube, thank you and welcome. So again, once a month, we tackle your medical questions when it comes to cannabis use and CBD use as well. And then I compile questions that I get throughout the month, and I bring them up to Nurse Kathleen. So this is my way of getting some free medical advice as well. Okay, so first up, this one comes from a client of Cultures, and she wants to know if Delta 8 gummies help with ADHD for teenagers to help focus, to calm them, and to eat. If so, can you give information on this? I have a 17-year-old that has been diagnosed with ADHD when he was 5. He never liked taking medication for it because it kept him from eating. So, I don't know. Whenever I think a THC and someone under 25, even, I'm like, I don't know. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on this is I think and I feel Delta 8 is a little bit too sedating for somebody trying to manage their ADHD symptoms. I like how you have it, and that Delta 8 can help people sleep a little bit. It can relax you enough to put you into sleep. If you're having a lot of muscle spasms, it could help relax your muscle spasms. But it's not something I would encourage you to take right before you're ready to go to school or ready to go to work. I would first make sure, um, as with anything, I recommend my people or anybody that asks to start their first dose at 6 p.m. around evening time. That way, you know if it's going to make you sleepy, you can just go on to bed early. If it doesn't make you sleepy and it makes you feel good, then you have the evening that you can relax and enjoy yourself. So that's what I would say about the Delta 8. What I would recommend is looking into something like a mixture of the CBD and CBG. We have a lot of good reports on that mixture, calming people down and helping them focus and concentrate during work and school.
Okay. And along the lines of the CBG, CBD blends, this is going to be it seems random, but it's um I have a woman who reached out to me, and her friend is going through her third battle of a brain cancer. And she wanted to give her gummies. I'm like, no, no sugar. um
Yes.
but and so I was like, maybe the CBG CBD tincture. I know that obviously we hesitate to give people advice when it comes to cancer because cancer is deadly, and and every cancer is different. And so this really isn't the forum to give people, you know, dedicated advice on their particular battle with cancer. But generally speaking, when people come to you and they say, I've been diagnosed with cancer. Let's talk about brain cancer since that's a woman who came to me. Um, where should people begin if they have that diagnosis and they're wondering if they should pair plant-based medicine with their chemotherapy or radiology treatments?
This is a good question because you're right. Not all cancers are the same. It depends on what type it is. And so the first thing I want to know is what is the cell type? What is the actual name of the cancer? And what is the grade of it? Has it metastasized? Are there other um, systems in the body that are affected? And then I would definitely want to know what is the course of treatment? Is it radiation? Is it chemotherapy? And then definitely involve your care team. If you are going through treatments like that, you will have a care team. And that is something that you need to speak with and involve your doctor with. You can bring them research. If they don't want to talk to you about it, that would be a sad place to be. I want you to include your care team because they have a lot of information on the individual medications they are giving you during your treatment, and that's when we can know about drug to drug interactions and how it's going to affect you. Most of the time, a CBD product is going to be safe enough to take, but we want to make sure the timing is correct. Are we taking it 2 hours before or 2 hours after? How is that going to interact with our treatment and our medications that we're taking? Um, and there are some cancer types that it's really, in particular, THC is contraindicated because it can make the cancer tumor grow larger and faster. And so we don't want to do that. And also there seems to be like a limit around, I've heard it, and you're right, we're not specialists in giving medical advice on cancer treatment, but I encourage you to look into somebody that is specialized in that. But I also have heard that there should be a limit of about 75 milligrams of CBD per 24-hour period in somebody that has cancer.
Okay.
But again, we encourage you to find somebody that specializes in cancer treatments that can do this. But if any treatment like that, you definitely want to speak with your care team to make sure you're safe.
Now, have you found that it's sometimes problematic to get oncologists on board with incorporating cannabis therapies with it? I mean, or like, if people were to reach out to you, do you have resources for oncologists that they could go to that's open to it?
I do. I work with people like that. There's not many that I know of right offhand, but as this tide is changing, that that particular field is more open to discussing it because they know the side effects of their treatments cause that nausea and vomiting and decreased appetite. And so if this is something that they can give them that's safer than the prescription medications, then a lot of them are starting to be open to talking about it. And that's why I said involve your care team. And if you want, I highly encourage you to do that. Bring in that research paper and print it out and have it in your hand. And if you feel more confident, bring two and say, this is what I've seen that shows to me that this could be effective in managing some of my symptoms. I'm not, and this is important, don't go in there telling your doctor that you think this is going to cure you. Just say,
Mm.
I think this might help me manage some of my symptoms. I'd like to get co-treatments with plant medicine and prescription medicine. How can we walk this path together? You should have a doctor that respects your treatment path and is willing to work with you. And if they don't know, they should be willing to send you to a specialist that does know.
Okay. Wow. So 75 milligrams of CBD a day, just to keep that in mind if you're dealing with cancer, because yeah, the research is every day. It's like it's there's more and more research, which is I guess a good thing. You know,
Yes.
the
Yes.
yeah, but it can be confusing because, you know, one day you hear like, "No, give yourself mega doses of this," and the next time you're like, "No, no, don't." So that's why it's so important when you have a condition like that to really reach out to someone who knows what they're talking about and who has some sort of expertise in those those conditions. So make sure we don't have any questions. And then I'm going to go into, hello, my next question. Okay, so my next question is about, oh, let's see. So let me make sure. So the for the 17-year-old with ADHD, the answer is no to the Delta 8. Start off with some really good CBD gummies, right?
Yes, or
So
the
yeah.
CBD, CBG tincture, if they are willing to take the tincture, that would be my recommendation to try that to see. And again, we want to give at least 90 days of plant medicine to see the full effectiveness of it.
Now, is that with every condition?
Yes, and it's not the condition, it's the plant medicine. The plant medicine is subtle and it needs a full 90 days to become fully effective in what it's trying to do with the body.
Okay. All right. So, because I tell my, it's really hard to get people to understand it because we're so used to things happening instantaneously. But I guess but people will notice a subtle change, right? Like let's say like depending on the condition, but it seems like arthritis tends to respond much quicker than 90 days.
Mhm. Oh yes, and everybody that takes it should feel something almost immediately. Like if I'm taking it for anxiety, I'm going to know within an hour if I'm calm enough, or I might need to take, 2 gummies at one time to calm my anxiety down. It depends on who I am, what my symptoms are. But in that, say I start, my anxiety's high and it's going to take 2 gummies for me to manage that. If I get on a regimen where I'm giving my body a daily dose of this, and then I'm using the gummies as needed, I have spikes and up and down. In the 90-day period, you count. You will be taking less gummies at the 90-day period than you did at the beginning, because that medicine is building up in your system and starting to heal your body, and you won't need that breakthrough medicine all the time.
Nice. Okay. So I said that because people, part of the skepticism is, people think, okay, I'm going to start it and then I'm going to have to take more and more and more to get the same effect. And with cannabis when I say cannabis, everyone, I don't just mean THC. I mean every cannabinoid that's in the plant. Okay. But cannabis, it has that bell curve, right? So like sometimes you can take, if you take too much, you get like the opposite effect. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes. Yep. And so that slow and steady feeding that endocannabinoid system, that supplement that it needs that we can get through our cannabis products, that's what it needs, that slow and steady. Well, you remember the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady wins that race.
Totally. All right. So next is a question for, I can never pronounce this, trigeminal neuralgia. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sweet. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so an easy way to say it, I'm not sure if it's easier, but I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I had a lady that had this, and she called it tic de la rue.
Oh, I like that. No one will know what I'm talking about though. The
Yes.
Tic Delarue. Was she from New Orleans? That sounds very, very
I don't
Cajun.
know. I can't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds like the Tic Delarue. That sounds fancy. But yeah, so this gentleman, he's getting those shocks on the right side of his face. He's on meds, but he's been reading how other people with his condition use CBD to help them relieve pain. And he says, heard the ones with Delta 8 or Delta 9 with THC provide the best relief. So, for people who don't know about, what is it? Tick,
Tic
ticks neurology.
or
Delta,
trigeminal neuralgia. Yes.
yes. So, is that like a form of neuropathy?
It is. And it's sometimes, let me say, most of the time it's not constant. And if it is, either way, it still has flares where all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere, and you are just in excruciating pain across your face. It's screaming pain. It's not no subtle pain. I mean, people that all of a sudden have an attack, they're screaming out. It's hurtful. And you want to do what you can to soothe that pain. And it is nerve related, yes. And so something is causing pain to that nerve, the trigeminal nerve. And so the topicals, and I'm going to say yes, mixed with THC. You want both as strong of topicals as you can get, because that's going to do two things: that motion of rubbing that to help it feel better, um, and then the medication getting into your skin to help release that muscle from spasming and decreasing the pain if you have muscle spasms along with it. My lady happened to, not everybody does. And then to have the consistent medication. Um, if the delta 8 or delta 9 THC is your preference, then try a little piece of it. You don't have to take the whole piece at once, especially if you're naive to any cannabis products. And again, try it at 6 p.m. and see how it reacts with you. I would highly encourage you again to keep something that you have as a stable treatment that you take every day at the same time. Whether that's I like taking the whole Delta 8 gummy, and I'm going to take it before bed because it helps me sleep. And you do that every single night. And then you have your breakthrough, whatever you want to take during the day to decrease that pain then.
Cool. All right. So I think I gave him a, I don't know if I told him to try a topical. But I was like, well, let's try a tincture. Gonna get it right in there. So, so
Yep,
yeah,
and you can do the tincture too. That's a good thing because especially if you're holding it inside the cheek, and that that is going to give that baseline for help. And I like multiple modalities because most of the time, one thing isn't going to help us completely. We need two or three things. And whether that's I take my tincture in the morning, when I have a flare up, I put that topical on, and then I like my Delta 8 or my Delta 9 to help me sleep. That could be a good regimen for something like that.
cool. All right. Okay. Well, those are the questions that I have for this month. Have you run by anything interesting or exciting? Any patient profiles you want to share? I know HIPAA and all of that. So
Yeah.
I
Yes.
understand if you don't.
I did have somebody with Parkinson's disease that I took care of, and it's the same. Uh, with Parkinson's disease, you really want them to have edibles because the edibles get through that blood-brain barrier and get the medication where it needs to be. I did speak to, so a lot of the times, and I'm going to say this because I'm not promoting it, but it works effectively. Sometimes people with Parkinson's and they have the tremors, the inhalation method, um, preferably vaporizing, helps to decrease those almost immediately. And so this would be a disease process where if the patient was open to it, the age was appropriate, the inhalation method would help decrease some of those symptoms. But we did talk about that baseline. What are you going to do for everyday support to your body to help improve the condition? And so I just
So
wanted to say that.
with that person, when you say an edible, so THC, CBD, a mix of both, CBG, CBN.
Yes, well, sometimes so I will tell them to take a CBD tincture and then make it into a food product and balance that out so they get their edible. Either that, what's something as simple as a capsule, because you are taking that capsule and swallowing it, and it's working as the same thing as an edible.
Mhm. And I will say that in my work with I worked with a Parkinson's patient a while ago, and she was not able to inhale, and so her son actually blew the vapor. We use the volcano, and so her son just blew the vapor in her direction, and it stopped her tremors. So she was able to inhale that way. So even if she's not able to inhale, if you have a loved one who is willing to inhale and exhale on you, it helped. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was beautiful. So yeah, her son did that for her, and so I was happy to be a part of that. A little experience with them. So yeah, what do you think about ALS? Because there was, I have MS. You mentioned Parkinson's, and then there's ALS, and there's other
Yes.
diseases where you have brain shrinkage, I guess. So, what if you have someone with diagnosed with ALS, and which is progressive and fatal. Um, what have you worked with anyone with ALS, and what tends to be their regimen?
I have, and it's difficult. It is a difficult disease process, and especially because you have every bit of your mind as your body goes through this, and that's it's not to say that it's opposite, that when you lose your mind, that it's and have a body working, but this is a difficult disease process, and yes, we start them out immediately on a CBD product to give them at least twice a day, morning and evening, and then develop what their needs are, what are their symptoms. And each person, again, is individual. Even if you have that same disease process, your symptoms might be different than my symptoms. It depends on where it's affecting your body at the time. And so with this one, we ended up adding a small dose THC where he could suck on the tablets. He ended up doing that 3 times a day along with CBD twice a day. And so far, everything seems to be doing okay. I try not to pester the people that come to me, but I love to hear back from them and see how they're doing. So,
Cool. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. So I have people that I know who are looking for some advice on that. I can pass that along. Okay. Well, I'm trying to think before I let you go. I want to make sure. Let's see. One more note. Oh, okay. Someone wants to know about rheumatoid arthritis. What would you suggest for rheumatoid arthritis?
we get a lot of that for arthritis, and that is it's deep in the bone. And so you want to take something internally, whether that's a tincture or a capsule. Arthritis, because it can be painful because it is deep in the bone, you might need to look at adding that THC product that you have. And sometimes what all you need is like a 5 milligrams or 2.5 milligrams of that THC. Microdosing is really good because if you can take like that 2.5 milligram THC 3 times a day, you're getting those low doses. It's not really intoxicating you. If it is at first, it won't within a couple of days at minimum. Your body will adjust to it. That is such a small dose. And that helps to start to regulate and decrease your pain. And again, I really highly encourage topicals. You can find CBD and THC. If you can't, and all you have is like a THC topical, then get your CBD topical and mix them together on your skin. It does that distracting and massaging and loosening up the skin, right? Because sometimes if our hands start to get like this, that massage will help open your fingers back up too.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
All right.
welcome.
And I hope that that answers that. All right. I think that's everything for now. I do want to let people know though that ticket sales are going to go on sale tomorrow for our Culture High Tea series. And it is a series this year, not just one, not just two, but three. Count them, three tea parties. All will be held at the Detroit Foundation Hotel, July 22nd, August 26th, and September 10th. So 2 Saturdays and a Sunday. And yeah, so we hope that you guys can all be there. And I did run the first day by you, but I didn't run those those other 2 days by you. So I hope you're available, Nurse. Nurse Cathleen.
Yes. I love your tea parties. They're amazing.
Thank you, thank you. These are going to be so special. Only 60 people, so a much more intimate environment this time. So much more personalized experience for people. And I hope that, we'll all have a great time in downtown Detroit. A beautiful venue. The Detroit Foundation Hotel is in their ballroom, so it'll be air conditioned this year. Ah, go figure.
Especially in the summer.
Yes. Okay. Oh shoot. But before we go though, the last question. Last question. Multiple myeloma. That's blood
Yeah.
cancer, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Multiple myeloma is skin cancer.
oh, gotcha. Okay. Let's
Well,
see.
you were getting it mixed up with the other one.
I'm sorry. Thank you. See, that is why you are here. So she wants to know what can she use to help with pain and possibly assist with long-term remission. She is receiving chemo currently.
I would say the same thing with her. Make sure that you are communicating with your um, doctors and your chemotherapy treatment plan, so that you can look up what are some drug to drug interactions. If you need help with that, let me know. I will help you. But do you want that baseline? What is the baseline for you? And that's looking at, is CBD good, or maybe is CBD CBG
Mhm.
better, or maybe is that full spectrum tincture? And that's like looking at what symptoms you're trying to manage and what you're trying to accomplish. And I like as full spectrum as you can get, because it gives you that multitude of cannabinoids that and that entourage effect, which is the most healing to the body.
Awesome. All right. So, lucky Jasmine, she's a bone and blood cancer. So, got that in there. And thank you for grabbing that last question for us. All right. So, we're going to do this again. We're going to go back to the first Mondays of the month. So, that is going to be, oh, oh, July 3rd. Oh, well. Yeah, I guess I'll be around. I have an MRI
I
scheduled that
know.
day. So, sure. I'll be around this. I tell you, man, these Mondays are getting in my life, but that's all right. Always have a good time talking to you, Nurse Kathleen, and answering people's questions and letting them know that plant-based medicine is real and it works. So we're going to help you guys figure it out. So I always appreciate the advice and the information. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you
Please
for
let
having
people
me.
know where they can find you.
Yes, if you are looking for me, I am Kathleen, and you can find me at cannabisnurse.com, and also here on every Medical Monday.
Awesome. And everybody, I'm Q, Antoinette from Qulture, and you can find us at cultureclub.com. And culture is spelled with a Q. And again, tickets go on sale for our high tea series at Detroit Foundation Hotel. First one kicks off July 22nd at high noon. So hope to see you guys there. And again, the tickets will be on the website and on Facebook and Instagram and all that jazz as well. So see you next month, if not before. All right. Take care, everybody.